The young worshipper whose prayer changed everything. The remarkable story of Jurayj. The night was silent. A young worshipper was in his place of worship, prostrating before Allah. He possessed neither wealth, fame, nor power. There was only one treasure in his life, his love for Allah. But then an incident occurred that turned years of worship, honor, and a spotless reputation into a single devastating accusation. The entire town turned against him. People began calling him a sinner. His place of worship was torn down. He was humiliated before a crowd. And the most astonishing part: the evidence presented against him was nothing more than a tiny infant. Could a newborn child really testify against someone? If so, why? And how did Allah come to the aid of his righteous servant in a way that would be remembered until the day of judgment? This is not merely a historical account. It is a timeless lesson about faith, patience, honoring one's parents, and placing complete trust in Allah. Stay until the end, because the conclusion of this story may leave a lasting impact on your heart. During the time of the children of Israel, there lived a young man named Jurayj. He stayed away from the attractions of worldly life. He dedicated his entire life to the worship of Allah. Away from the city, he built a small place of worship where he spent his days and nights in prayer, remembrance of Allah, and supplication. Whenever people saw him, they remembered Allah. Everyone admired his piety and devotion. But one reality has always remained true. The closer a person is to Allah, the greater the tests that may come. And Jurayj's greatest trial was approaching, one he could never have imagined. One day, Jurayj was deeply engaged in prayer. During that time, his mother came to visit him. She called out, "O Jurayj!" But he was still praying. He thought to himself, "O Allah, should I continue my prayer, or should I answer my mother?" He chose to continue praying. His mother returned home. The next day, she came again. She called him once more. But once again, Jurayj remained in prayer. The same thing happened on the third day. By then, a mother's heart had been deeply hurt. In her sorrow, she prayed, "O Allah! Do not let Jurayj die until he is tested." These words came from the heart of a distressed mother. And Allah accepted her supplication according to his perfect wisdom. No one could have imagined that this prayer would become the beginning of one of the greatest trials of Jurayj's life. Jurayj's reputation for worship and righteousness spread far and wide. Parents encouraged their children by mentioning his example. But wherever there is honor, jealousy often follows. Some people disliked hearing everyone praise Jurayj. Around the same time, there was an immoral woman in the town who was extremely proud of her beauty. She declared to the people, "If I wish, I can tempt even this devoted worshipper." The people were astonished. She went to Jurayj's place of worship. She tried every possible way to distract him from his devotion. But Jurayj's heart was focused only on pleasing his Lord. He did not even look toward her. When she failed, her pride turned into bitterness. She decided that if she could not lead him into sin, she would destroy his reputation instead. Some time later, the woman committed adultery with a shepherd. After a while, she gave birth to a baby. When people asked who the father was, she made a shocking false accusation before everyone. She said, "This child belongs to Jurayj." The crowd erupted in anger. No one investigated. No one demanded evidence. No one stopped to ask whether a man who had devoted his entire life to worship could truly have committed such an act. An angry mob rushed toward Jurayj's place of worship. They dragged him away from his prayer. They demolished his place of worship. They humiliated him in front of everyone. Yet Jurayj remained calm. He did not shout in his own defense. He did not argue with the crowd. He did not curse them. He simply asked, "Why are you accusing me of this?" They pointed to the child and replied, "This is your son." It was a heartbreaking moment. A lifetime of worship and righteousness appeared to be buried beneath a single false accusation. But Jurayj knew one thing. When every earthly path is closed, Allah's help is nearest. And the moment was about to come that would leave every witness speechless. Jurayj said to the people, "Bring the child to me." The crowd was confused. Some even laughed sarcastically. They believed he had no way left to prove his innocence. When the child was brought before him, Jurayj first performed ablution. Then he prayed 2 units of prayer. With complete humility, he called upon Allah. Every worldly door seemed closed. But the door to the heavens remained open. After finishing his prayer, Jurayj gently approached the infant. He placed his hand lightly upon the child and asked, "O child, who is your father?" The people looked at one another in disbelief. How could a newborn possibly answer? But when Allah wills to help his righteous servant, the impossible becomes possible. By the command of Allah, the infant spoke. He said, "My father is not Jurayj. My father is the shepherd." The moment those words were spoken, silence fell over the crowd. It was as though time itself had stopped. Faces that had been filled with anger moments before now turned pale with shock. Those who had condemned Jurayj lowered their heads in shame. Everyone realized that Jurayj was innocent. Allah himself had protected the honor of his sincere servant. As soon as the truth became clear, the people trembled with regret. They fell before Jurayj, begging for forgiveness. Many of them wept. They said, "We have committed a terrible wrong. We accused you without investigation." Wanting to make amends, they offered, "We will rebuild your place of worship with gold." But Jurayj smiled and replied, "No. Rebuild it from the same earth with which it was first built." His response reflected true humility, sincerity, and detachment from worldly wealth. He desired neither a golden building nor people's praise. For him, the greatest blessing was that Allah had made the truth clear before everyone. #Lessons from the story of Jurayj. The story of Jurayj teaches us many profound lessons. The first lesson is never to accuse anyone based on rumors or hearsay. The second lesson is that even if the entire world stands against you, Allah will never abandon you if you remain upon the truth. The third lesson is the immense importance of honoring one's parents. Scholars have explained that responding to his mother's call would have taken precedence over continuing a voluntary prayer, and this became one of the wisdoms behind Jurayj's trial. And the final lesson. Allah's help always arrives at the perfect time, even if it is not the time we expect. If you have ever faced false accusations, injustice, or loneliness, remember the story of Jurayj. People may judge by appearances, but Allah is the perfect judge, and his justice never fails. Source *Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim.